Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. The 20 years war is over, and the war that aimed at throwing out Taliban results in Taliban coming back. And some people are calling it Taliban 2. What for? For the only reason that they are taken in by the Taliban's professions and protestations that they are changed law. But can a wolf ever change? Can a zebra get rid of its stripes? No. And the very fact the Taliban is not likely to change is the latest statement by President Putin when he says that he is not going to permit Taliban refugees, Afghanistan refugees, to come in because they'll be terrorists in disguise. This we have observed in the refugees who have gone to Europe, that as soon as they settle there, get all the benefits, they start imposing on the culture of those countries. As a matter of fact, that's why I say the Taliban too is not a reformed Taliban. It is what we see, despite their protestation, is just the tip of the iceberg. And I call it Jihad Iceberg. Now, hereafter, what's going to happen in Afghanistan? Historically, Afghanistan has never been under any central rule. Conquered from Alexander the Great to Britain to Soviet Union to NATO forces, they couldn't conquer Afghanistan. There was a brief time when Maharaja Ranjit Singh managed to conquer the fierce mountainous tribes, and not one but Duranis, Hazaras, all were conquered, and he managed them to be integrated in the Punjab state, the country of Punjab at that time, under the able leadership of General Hari Singh Nalwa. They were subdued because of a very sagacious blend of sustained aggression and high-mindedness. In a famous battle, 20,000 Hazaras were defeated by just 7,000 able-bodied men of Maharaja Ranjit Singh and Hari Singh Nalwa. And to defeat cunning and treacherous Hazaras in their own country was not a small feat. Now, so far, Taliban leaders have given an impression to evade provocation. I mean, so that's what they are saying. So that there is no provocation, and the statement that they will rule justly and circumvent retaliation and misuse. They have issued declarations that people will be safe. They have said that the women would have freedom. But all that's an empty boast. And that is why already there is retaliation from Panchi. As a matter of fact, the group's advance was so rapid and lightning that the suspicion is that it may have been facilitated. And capital's airport has become the scene of depression, desperation, chaos. It's because thousands of Afghans try to flee. And if the Taliban were honest, why should they flee? Now, Taliban have made 5 promises. I'll come take up their promises and then I'll tell how hollow they are. The first promise is women will have their rights. But now this but is very dangerous but. They say women will have a right to study and work, but the right will be determined by the Islamic law. And Islamic law nowhere says that the women should be subjugated. Of course, they don't treat that power. But is it going to be different than what they were doing in the period when they were ruling from 1996 to 2001, when they brutally suppressed women? The girls were barred from public. They could not move around except by as tents covered by the burqas, unless accompanied by a male relative. Women who violated these laws were stoned to death. Even after the Taliban were toppled in 2001, women suffered similar restrictions in the areas under Taliban control. And as I said earlier, a leopard doesn't change its spots, a zebra doesn't shed its stripes. How would you believe that they have changed? Then they have said pardons for all. But at the same time, they are going from house to house, searching for the non believers, searching for the interpreters, searching for the quislings and the people who collaborated with the NATO regime. They are fighting with the people, or rather hunting the people who ever opposed them. Then they say security for embassies and foreign organizations. And this they are trying to do because they want to get money, and I'll come to that. But let's not forget that Taliban have a very poor regard and record when it comes to protecting foreign personnel. You remember in 1996 they had entered a UN compound where former Najibullah had been granted refuge. They dragged him down and killed him and hung him from the body. Can you believe it? 2 years later, they captured the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif, raided the Iranian consulate, killed 9 diplomats and journalists. The third promise they made is no use of Afghan soil against other countries. A core point of the troop withdrawal deal that US signed with Taliban was that they will not allow militant groups to operate out of Afghanistan. But militant groups are Taliban itself. So would they stop themselves from doing it? UN Security Council monitoring report released 2 months back in the month of June said very clearly that Taliban and Al Qaeda are very close. They work hand in glove. Then the most important is no more drugs. Now, Taliban's major portion of income comes from drugs. Millions of dollars they are from drugs. Do them you mean that they are going to starve themselves? And who can believe it? Now these are the five promises they have made. Are they worth? You cannot take them even with a pinch of salt. Now here comes the typical Muslim technique called taqiyya. The Muslim technique of taqiyya is that you can tell a lie, however brazen and shamefaced it may be, if it furthers your cause. In my book, Islamic Art of War, I have dealt with it in detail. I have shown how they are very humble and quiet. Not all the Muslims, but a section thereof. When they are 5%, they are the best citizens. 10% they are okay. 15% they start demanding as peaceful citizens. 25% they start asserting. 30% they want to take over. That's the technique. Now, this promise of Taliban to be reformed is in fact a very, very clear modification or application of Taqi. And when people say, well, Taliban are tamed now, let me tell you, tigers are never tamed. Don't kid yourself. And their victory is just the tip of the Jihad iceberg, and coming event days would show how, if Taliban are established, because already there are rebellion against them in Panjshir, Masood is coming up, the line of Panjshir, and that valley is very independent. Now, one thing is clear that 20 years long war led by US shows that the steadfastness of the West is weak. Major adversaries, Russia and China, are much stronger. And Afghanistan is in a state of vacuum, basically. And that there's a vacuum, then the anti-social groups like Al Qaeda, ISIS, LET, JEM, they rush in. Around the world, Islamists now would be seen as victorious, and that would be an inspiration to the other terrorist organizations. 14 million people in Afghanistan are going to face a humanitarian catastrophe. And when that catastrophe is there, when the food would not be available, when the women will be victimized, these countries will open their doors to them. Please come in. And in the real innocent refugees would provide a cover for militants to sneak in. And that's why Putin has said no refugees at all. But as I said, signs of uprising against Taliban have already started. Panshi is the first one, Ahmad Masood, son of Shah Masood. They have started struggle. And if we see that what they had done in 90s, if that's going to be repeated, then Afghanistan would not be one cohesive country, but it would be the fiefdoms of tribes, Duranis, Hazaras, Uzbeks, all would have their own area of power. On the other hand, former Afghan Vice President Soleh has already said that Taliban can't go on it, and he has said that he would be the president under the constitution because the president has left. Now, Taliban occupation will not guarantee peace. With the passage of time, many US trained fighters are likely to group themselves on ethnic lines. The whole land of Afghanistan, just 12% is arable where food can be grown, and that's for 70% of the population. But then the country is very rich. Let's not forget that the untapped mineral wealth of Afghanistan is more than $1 trillion. And that's why China is trying to mend fences. On the one side, China is imprisoning Uyghur Muslims. Now imagine the contradiction. They say Muslims cannot be trusted, so Uyghurs are under. And more than 1 million Uyghurs are in the Chinese jails. But this wealth, which includes gold, copper, and most important, lithium, the mineral that holds the key to the world's electrical vehicle future, is in Afghanistan. Afghanistan doesn't have capability to exploit it. So China is moving in. And China happens to be the dominant player in lithium ion battery space. The country also happens to have Taliban's benefactor Pakistan economically bound. Pakistan is heavily indebted to China. So the question is whether China, which has very little, has not made any financial commitment. India spent $3 billion. But now they will bankroll the Afghan economy in return for what? For the mining rights. So countries like India and other democracies may not even be competing. But China would not be competing, it will have almost a monopoly. Now, what are the options for India? And then another thing, when the Taliban rule, then they will like to go in for Ghazwe Hind. Ghazwe Hind is conquest of India. And they will send their people to Kashmir through Azad Kashmir. Pakistan, of course, will facilitate that movement. Now, what India is facing is a quad, a new quad. Don't be amazed. The quad is China, Pakistan, Taliban ruled Afghanistan, and Iran. Yes. So these four countries are going to be four against one. And if India ignores it, then it's ignoring it at its own peril. Now, what are the options for India? First is to initiate dialogue with Taliban and accept it. Well, you are the rulers, we accept it. This will not be an easy choice. as China, Taliban too has already shown that they are more close to China and closer to Pakistan and Turkey. So this dirty trio of China, Turkey, Pakistan is going to be a thorn in the flesh of India. It will be treacherous to the Afghan people. It will be detrimental to the Indian interest, but that's a fact. The first option is initiating a dialogue and having friendly relations is like a cat having a friendly relation with a dog or a mouse having a friendly relation with a cat. Second option, grant legitimacy to the resistance movement of Panjshir led by Masood and Saleh. Now that has to be watched very carefully. What are the capabilities? They are not strong enough to throw out Taliban, let's be clear. They can divide Afghanistan, the spheres of influence, but they cannot rule Afghanistan. And keeping in view the massive anger against the old Afghan government and the local population, will this move be justified? I can't be sure today. Third option is wait, watch, and engage with the other democracies to take a unanimous call. What do they do? But is it desirable for a country which hopes to be the Bishop Guru and the word power to wait and follow the others and let the others be the leaders rather than be the leader yourself? Now, what's the fourth option? India is the chair of the UN Security Council, and it may explore the options where it can work on imposing UN sanctions. Possibilities for this are slim because China and Russia have already said they don't want to isolate Taliban. No, Russia is playing a nice game. On the one side, they say they support Taliban. On the other side, say no Afghan refugee will be permitted. That is, in fact, supporting Taliban. What should India should do? A, realize that Afghan terror coup is not bloodless. Bloodshed is being there. And now this is the need to legitimize CA, implement CA right away. Declare it. It has already been passed. So a chilling message has to be sent. We mean business. Now, already we know that in Afghanistan, especially in Kandahar, Taliban are going house to house, hunting for collaborators. And some who had an inkling of impending privations and are desperate to escape have been filmed clinging to the aeroplane Z1 and then they died. You can't hang on a flying aeroplane. But here in India, we have already to mourn the death of one Indian already. You know, the Indian photographer, Danish Siddiqui, who was killed by Taliban. And if Taliban can kill one of their own, then what can you do? And India is a significant regional power and is no stranger to the binding force of religion, including Islam, and recognizes its facilitating role in social development. But no PR shield can be strong enough to obscure the witch hunt that has begun. And within the next few years, and perhaps years, thousands, if not hundreds of the thousands, will perish in the hellfire being created by Taliban. But the death of people, I'll call it the dance of death, will be served with this purpose. That will expose the liberal Afghanistan that has been subjugated by the Taliban. Now, reams are being written by the newspapers, by the so-called political commentators, that Taliban having recaptured Afghanistan would not be there. As Mullah Badar, the co-founder of Taliban, the new Amir here in New Delhi, More and more voices in opposition and former diplomats are urging the Modi government to open an official channel to Taliban. In fact, recognize the militia. This would be bad. Look there. Here, I'll place Canada. Canada has refused to accept Taliban ruled Afghanistan. Why should it? And they say, well, you can't choose your leader, neighbor. I agree, you can't choose your neighbor. But you can always choose what to do with the neighbor. You may shun the neighbor, you may not talk to the neighbor, you may not have any connection with the neighbor. Neighbor will be there, but you can just, hey, okay, keep shut. The recognizing the Taliban would be legitimate, provided they have a plebiscite in the UN, which they are not willing to have. New Delhi should be happy to be led by events and lacks of power to shift. Let's be very clear. India is not that strong. And it's, but then it should not accept meekly the hegemony of a civilizational enemy. They should say, okay, for us, Afghanistan is a close period. Boycott is a civilizational enemy. Second, India has to accept that Pakistan and China, the lead motivators of events in Afghanistan, and that what they have invested in 20 years should be considered as gone. Third, partaking in any exercise to rehabilitate Taliban would mean that India has forgotten the IC 814 hijacking. Many Indian troops have sacrificed their lives to fight the Jaish-e-Mohammed after Taliban conspired with Pakistan in 1999. Would their blood go waste? In fact, apart from stonewalling Taliban, basically which India should do, India ought to campaign to push the international community to sanction Pakistan because the Prime Minister of Pakistan declared that Taliban have liberated Afghanistan. No, that's the worst thing that could happen. Nobody denies that USA takes the blame for this tragedy and Joe administration is responsible for this. We cannot deny that Taliban takeover of Afghanistan will certainly make India's immediate environment very challenging. So what India has to do is to be careful that the anti-India terror groups like Pakistani Lashkar-e-Taiba are shifting their bases now from Pakistan to Afghanistan. So India has to keep its guard up. And then, as I said, symbolism is very important. Government of India can send a message to Taliban, implement CA, and that would be helpful. There's a bleak future for the minorities in Pakistan. So the moment you do something, it would be important. CA should be implemented so all the Christians, all the Hindus, all the Sikhs who are at danger in Pakistan can come here. And most important is protection. You remember there was in May this year, government issued a gazette notification under CAA to grant powers to the authority to approve the citizenship of persecuted Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Christians. And that should be implemented. Let's not forget, this is legal. US has the same law. Do you know? US has similar law and it has withstood legal challenges. And even human rights entities like US Commission on International Religious Freedom champion this law. As a matter of 2018, Trump administration decision to repatriate refugees protected under this law. USA very clearly said that this is justified. USA, among other democracies, has allowed domestic political calculations to override the imperative. India has to do the same. And the sooner they do it. Now, why is Taliban posing to be liberal? A, they need billions of dollars that are in the foreign countries which have been frozen. So if they show their real colors, true colors, that money would never come. Secondly, there are applications pending in IMF and World Bank for loans. If they show their true colors, those applications will be consigned to the dustbin. So get that money in and to send their people in other countries like Trojan horses, Afghanistan's Taliban, or the Taliban themselves, not only Afghanistan but anywhere. They are donning, as I said, wolves are donning the sheep's clothing to cheat the sheep. This is a typical taqiyya to get the money, which is Afghanistan, undeniably. But if the Taliban gets that money, it is a disaster. Taliban has already got billions worth of arms, ammunition, and equipment from USA because USA left everything for them. They did not adopt the policy of scorched earth. In Second World War, when Russia was being defeated, what they did was they burnt everything so that the Nazis coming forward don't have anything. And they were dying of hunger and they left Russia to go back to Germany. This is what USA should have done. If they could not bring the things back, they should have destroyed them. We they did not. So Taliban is already richer by billions of dollars. And if other billions of dollars, a few billions of dollars, which are in the foreign countries, if they go to them, they'll be quite encouraged. And what prohibits them from then showing their real face. So India has to wake up to the reality and recognize the fact that Taliban is a criminal organization. The Taliban is an organization which cannot be accepted to rule any country. The Taliban is not only anti-civilizational, anti-human, anti-women, anti-freedom, anti-other religions. It is criminal to the core. It's a drug dealing mafia as well. So it has various dimensions. It's terrorist, it's anti-women, it's anti-human, it's anti-minorities, and it's anti-Muslims because it's enervating the youth by dealing with the drugs. So this criminal organization should not be taken at the face value. The veil of the taqiyya should be ripped apart, and India should choose its options wisely, as should the other countries.